The night sky wept the way her heart did, quietly, endlessly, and unseen by anyone who cared to look. Beneath the grand silver moon of Arvindale, a young woman named Ilara stood at the edge of a fading dream. The castle lights flickered in the distance, echoing laughter and music that belonged to a world she once longed for but never truly belonged to. Her trembling hands clutched a torn ribbon, the last piece of her mother's memory, as tears slipped down her cheeks, unseen in the shadow of the night. For years, she had lived behind masks of smiles and obedience, wearing patience as her only crown and silence as her only defense. But tonight, her heart ached differently, with the weight of a love she had tasted only once and lost before it could bloom. Ilara was no ordinary girl, born into love, but raised in cruelty. Her life had changed the day her mother's gentle laughter vanished from the world. Her father, once a man of warmth, had remarried too quickly, seeking companionship but finding instead a woman who saw kindness as weakness. Lady Mirabelle, her stepmother, was beauty wrapped around ice, her words sliced with calm precision, and her daughters mirrored her like cruel shadows. From the moment Ilara was brought under her roof, she was stripped of every trace of dignity, her name spoken only in commands, her existence reduced to chores and scorn. She scrubbed the marble floors until her fingers cracked, tended to their silk gowns while her own dress was made of patches, and yet, through all this, she smiled, because that's what her mother had taught her before she left this world. Even when life covers you in ashes, let your soul still shine like gold. But deep inside, Ilara's heart carried a quiet wound. She longed not for luxury, but for love, the kind that saw her soul, not her station. She would often sit by the window at midnight, whispering her hopes into the cold wind, as if her mother's spirit still lingered there. One day, she would murmur, "Someone will see me, not what they think I am, but who I truly am." Those words were her only prayer, and though life gave her little reason to believe, she never stopped whispering them. The kingdom's ball was the event of the decade, a night when every maiden dreamed of a new destiny. The prince, returning from war, was said to be searching not just for a bride, but for a soul who could remind him of peace. For weeks, the town buzzed with excitement. Silk merchants thrived, jewelers sparkled with business, and tailors worked until dawn. But in the corner of Lady Mirabelle's mansion, Ilara's world remained the same, filled with dust, commands, and cruel laughter. Her stepsisters taunted her endlessly as they prepared for the ball, mocking the idea that someone like her could even imagine such a dream. "You belong to the ashes," they sneered, "and the ashes never dance with kings." That night, after they left, Ilara sat in the dim kitchen, her heart hollow yet still alive with longing. The world was feasting on dreams, and she had only emptiness to dine on. Tears welled in her eyes, quiet, fragile, and unseen. She wept not because she couldn't go, but because she had stopped believing that she ever deserved to. Yet, even as she cried, a strange calm filled the air, like the world itself had paused to listen. The fire in the hearth flickered with unusual warmth, and from the shadows stepped a figure cloaked in soft light. An old woman, her eyes deep with compassion, appeared without a sound. Ilara gasped, but the woman only smiled, placing a gentle hand over her trembling fingers. "My child," she whispered, "why do you cry as if hope is gone? Tears are prayers too, and yours have reached where words could not." Ilara blinked through her tears, and before she could speak, the woman waved her hand, and the room filled with shimmering light. The ashes at her feet transformed into a gown so breathtaking that it seemed woven from moonlight itself. The air smelled of roses, and her worn slippers turned into glass that caught the firelight like stars. For a moment, Ilara could not breathe, not from disbelief, but from the strange, aching feeling that this was her mother's love, returned in another form. "Go," said the woman, her voice trembling with affection. "Go and remember this, it is not the magic that makes you special, it is your heart." And so she went. When Ilara entered the grand ballroom, silence fell like snowfall. Every eye turned, every whisper died. She looked nothing like the servant she was. She looked like every dream ever born of kindness and pain. The prince, standing by the marble staircase, felt his heart pause for the first time in years. He had met countless faces, heard countless rehearsed words, but this girl's eyes, those eyes carried both sorrow and strength, beauty and truth. They danced, not as strangers, but as two souls who had been searching for each other through lifetimes. The night melted away in laughter and stolen glances, in words that needed no sound. For those few hours, Ilara forgot who she was told to be. She was only herself, seen, cherished, alive. But fate, as always, was a jealous watcher. The clock struck 12, and reality pulled her back like an invisible hand. Her heart raced as she ran down the palace steps, leaving behind a single glass slipper, the only proof that the night was ever real. She fled into the darkness, her tears mixing with rain, her heart torn between magic and fear. The next morning, she woke with swollen eyes and a heavy soul, knowing that dreams never last for girls like her. Days passed. The kingdom buzzed with rumors as the prince searched desperately for the girl who had vanished into the night. He carried her slipper through villages and towns, refusing to rest. But when he reached Lady Mirabelle's estate, Ilara was locked away in the attic, her stepmother fearing the truth. The sisters tried on the slipper in vain, their laughter forced, their beauty empty. The prince, disheartened, was about to leave when a quiet voice called from above. "Please, may I try?" The stepmother protested, but the prince turned. Something in that voice struck him deeply, like a memory of the night his heart had awakened. When Ilara appeared, covered in dust and humility, everyone sneered. But the moment she touched the slipper, it slipped on like destiny itself. The room fell silent. The prince's eyes widened, not because of her beauty, but because of the truth in her gaze, the same truth he had seen that magical night. For the first time, Ilara's tears were not hidden. They glistened openly as he took her hand, his voice trembling with emotion. "I searched for you," he said softly, "but now I see, you were never lost. The world just refused to see you." Those words broke every chain inside her. She realized then that love wasn't about being chosen, it was about being seen. The kingdom rejoiced, but behind the celebrations, Ilara's heart carried something deeper. She forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, not because they deserved it, but because she wanted peace more than revenge. When asked later why she showed such mercy, she smiled and said, "Because hatred kept me in ashes, and forgiveness gave me wings." Her words became a tale that mothers whispered to their daughters, reminding them that even the kindest hearts can rise from the cruelest storms. Years later, when Ilara became queen, she ruled not with power, but with empathy. The palace gates that once guarded wealth now welcomed the poor and the broken. Every night she would stand by the same window she once wept at, gazing at the stars with gratitude. The prince would often find her there, silent but smiling. Still dreaming, he would ask gently, and she would answer no, just remembering the girl who once believed she wasn't enough. There was no grand battle in Ilara's story, no sword or crown that defined her victory, only a heart that refused to stop loving, even when the world gave it every reason to. That was her quiet power, the kind that outlived kingdoms and echoed through generations. Because real magic, she learned, was not in wands or spells, it was in tears that never gave up, in kindness that never broke, and in courage that never stopped believing that love could heal what life had shattered. And so, as her tale spread across time, people stopped calling her Cinderella, the girl of ashes, and began calling her Ilara, the queen of hidden tears. For those tears were not signs of weakness, but the price she paid for becoming who she truly was. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your love keeps these stories alive and gives hope to those who need it most. Before you go, I'd love to know which part of Ilara's journey moved you the most. Tell me in the comments below. Your words mean more than you can imagine, because sometimes all it takes is one story to remind us that even the smallest spark can light up the darkest heart, and that behind every smile there may once have been hidden tears that taught it how to shine. The end.